What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So today, as you guys can see, we have the E30 outside the garage, the G80s in the garage, and we're going to be installing some coilovers today and getting this thing a little bit lower for some of the future plans we have coming up. Let me go get the parts.
So I'll be working on my car over here. There's a shit box right there, and then that right over there is the fastest one. I do all the work. So the thing is, on camera, right, everyone thinks Nabil's doing all this work, you know, because he always records himself, like, doing everything. But really what happens is that we cut the cameras off, I get in there, get my hands dirty and all, and then, oh, he's back. And then, yeah, all right.
All right, so we got some KW height adjustable springs here. All right, so we got everything on the table out here. This is everything that comes in the kit. These are the springs for the rears, as well as locking collars. Not sure how these lock into place just yet. I'm not sure if it's just the pressure that holds them in place, but we'll have these. And then these are the springs for the front, as well as the collars for the front. So this actually replaces the stock assembly that the spring sits on. So we actually have to hammer that out, put this new one in. I think this is going to be probably the most tedious process. And then you obviously have the bump stops and whatnot, and then you're going to reuse a few parts from the stock assembly. And then you have obviously the wrenches for the kit. So we'll have those, but now it's just a matter of taking stuff apart. We already kind of started, so we'll continue on the rears first, get one of the rears in, and then move on to the fronts. So to get the job done, you actually are going to need a few different parts. If you don't have them already, you're going to need these open-ended sockets. This is to get the front strut apart and get the spring out. You're also going to need some Torx bits and some E-Torx bits. So make sure you guys have those, and you're going to need a spreader. Not the type of spreader that's behind the camera right now, but you're going to need this spindle spreader. You can get it off Amazon, but basically what it does is exactly what you would expect. It spreads, makes a little gap a little bit bigger. Bad analogy, but yeah, you're gonna need those. So now that we have all that, let's go ahead and get this thing started. We're starting on the rear here, and there's basically two nuts or two bolts that you need to remove. One is that one way back there. This is on the lower control arm. That is a 21 mil, so we have that ready to go. And then the next one is gonna be right there, and that is gonna be in 18 mil. So once we remove those, obviously they have corresponding nuts on the back side of them. So we're going to quickly remove those, and basically what's going to happen is that this control arm is going to just drop down from that back side, and this spring should just pop out. We'll remove it and put the new one in, and that's basically it. Now the only thing that you need to worry about is on the driver's side, there is a height adjustment sensor. So that's going to have a 10 mil bolt, and that's basically going to sit right here where this opening is, or on the opposite side, one of the sides, and you just got to make sure you remove that before you drop the lower control arm. And this is an 18 mil nut and bolt, and I'm just gonna put them together so we don't lose them. Now we just got to do the 21 in the rear. All right, after a very long time, so it turns out this bolt that's in the rear is a very long bolt, and it's threaded in actually into the control arm through the subframe. So you actually got to thread it out all the way, and it comes very close to the valves on the exhaust. So it kind of makes it a little bit tough, but now with the lower control arm all the way down, should be able to just pull it up. And we're going to keep this piece here, and I think this can go. Yeah.
Because it gets the
bumps up, yeah. So yeah, we should be good.
Did you figure it out?
So just to make sure that we're even on all, at least the rears, what I'm gonna do is just use this gapping tool. This is for spark plugs, but at least this will give me an accurate measurement of how far we're going on the rears. So basically, I'm just gonna go till this is a little bit too tight, which this is what I want. So now I know at least the rears will be even. So So now it's just a matter of throwing this on and then getting this right back into the car. Just making sure I don't move that around.
We've been on the same one for
probably been 2 hours. Yeah.
Nabil said we would do both back ones in 1 hour. And we are still at it.
Whoever made the other video, there's a guy with a blue G80. When you search up G80 coilover install, he made it seem like you just pull the bolt out, you put the spring in, you put the bolt back in. No, it's not that easy. You literally gotta align the holes, thread everything through. It took us about 2 hours on just one side, but now we know what the process is like. So we're gonna do the other side, but this is how this side looks. We went pretty low, I would say, but ooh. No, and it's not, so even now it's still gonna settle, so it'll probably drop another ½ inch. But yeah, because once everything is lowered, everything is gonna come down a little bit. So yeah,
flush fitment.
Yeah, this is about 2 finger gap. By the time it settles, my guess is gonna be a single finger gap. Which is kind of where I want it, but if we need to go lower, we still have a little bit more space where we can go lower. But let's quickly go ahead and do the other side, and quickly, you know, I'm being, yeah, it's not an easy process. Let's see if we can get the other side done, and we'll show you guys how the rears look, and then we'll jump to the fronts. Okay, so we got the other side off pretty quickly, a lot quicker than we got the first side off. So now we just put our little rubber grommet, make sure that the nipple lines up with the lower control arm hole, and we're doing the same gapping on this side using the gapping tool. Again, this is just an estimate. It's not gonna be, I'm using like 6 of these pieces, so yeah, I'm back the hell up. And we're just gonna make sure we throw this back into the car. Keep going. So this is the old spring right here. This is what comes off of it, and it's just these 2 pieces. So once you have these 2 off, you are good to go. So just to recap, you have this 21mm bolt right there, and you have a nut on the opposite side, and then you also have this 18mm right here, which has a nut on the opposite side as well. And you're just gonna take those out. This one is very easy. This one right here is very easy to take out, but the one back there is actually a bit of a hassle just because it's threaded all the way through. So you are gonna have to kind of back it out all the way. It does take some time. But once you move those, you just make sure that your new spring goes in. The little nipple down here kind of feeds through the hole. You can see a little bit of it right there. And now we're just gonna make sure that the gapping is right, same as the other side. Mind getting me the gapping tool. And the way I did it on the other side is that all of these should be a little too tight, but now if I remove one and check it with one less piece, it should slide right in and out freely. So now we know both sides are exactly the same using these. A lot of people measure it, but I thought using this would just be a lot easier, and this is just a spark plug gapping tool that you can get from any AutoZone. So now we just throw the wheel on and we should be good with the rears. Honestly, this took a lot longer than expected, and I think we're gonna have to call it here for today at least. Honestly, if it wasn't for Kumel Sano who came and helped me, I would not have been able to do this alone. I think the front, per what I've seen, is gonna be a lot easier. It's just getting that lower control arm is kind of the biggest hassle, getting that rear bolt out and getting it back in. That's kind of what took us the longest to do. So if you have the right tools and the space, obviously we're on the floor with a jack. It's a little bit tougher, but you should be okay. This is good. Oh, single finger gap. Check the other side.
Single finger, barely.
Barely?
I mean, I can get my finger in, but it's going like this.
Oh yeah, it's going sideways, right?
Yeah, it's not,
a little sideways.
I'm not going in.
Ooh, but that's good fitment. That's good fitment,
this looks
boys.
good.
I think you should run like this. Big gap up here and little gap in the back.
This is not the final fitment. So we're about like one, if you go in at an angle, it's about a single finger gap. But overnight, this should settle about an inch, maybe half an inch more. So I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
I put thumbs up.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch the video.
So it should settle a little bit more overnight, and we're gonna be doing the front. Turn around. I got eyes in the back of my head. We're gonna be doing the fronts tomorrow, right? Yo, get out the way, yo. Get out the way. We're gonna be doing the fronts tomorrow, so that should give me enough time, or give the car enough time to settle, and then you guys should be able to see the settled rear, and then we'll have the front lowered tomorrow. The goal is to get this to a single finger gap as well, and we need to drop it almost 2.5 inches. So we're gonna try to get this really clean fitment, and we got the spacers on obviously, so already it looks good. And then, like I said, we got some new mods coming soon, which is just gonna kind of enhance the car, and it's kind of the reason why we're lowering it right now. You guys avatar the last airbender over there. So yeah, we'll just put this all to the side today and call it here. But Gumo, so thank you guys.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
So it is what? 3 a.m.? Almost 3 a.m.?
Yep.
There's a car meet tomorrow. So we decided Sal actually came back to my house after going home, just so you could help me turn around, give yourself a round of applause for being a real one. But yeah, it's 3 a.m. There's a car meet in the morning. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this today. As you guys can see, we did the other side, and now we know how to do the fronts. So we're gonna quickly go ahead and do that. Very simple, starting off with popping off these little clips to hold these kind of plastic pieces on. And once we have this off, we're just gonna start disassembling stuff. As you guys can see, we already got the wheel off. And I'll show you guys what you guys need to loosen up, remove, and so on. The fronts are actually a lot easier than the rears in my opinion. So yeah, start with these plastics, and then I'll show you guys how to get the sensor off, which is I think the dampening sensor, which is pretty simple too, and then we'll move to the bottom side of the car. Once you have these plastics off, you can actually just pop this out, and this will give you access to the little sensor. And it's a little bit of a hassle, but you just kind of stick your fingers in there, pull it out, and you can just kind of toss it to the side. Now you have some Torx bits that you need to remove, or I think these are e-Torx. So yeah, you just remove these, and I have the size right here. This is an E16. We're gonna go ahead and remove those 4, leave one on just to be safe. That way nothing falls off when we loosen everything out. But we're gonna have a T30 right here. We're gonna have to loosen this. Back here, there's a 16mm bolt which connects to this. So you're just gonna have to loosen that 16mm, and then there's also a 16mm bolt and nut right here too, which actually compresses the strut with this. So this is what you call the spindle spreader. And basically what's gonna happen is this strut has kind of like a casing around it, and you're just gonna put this in between the little housing and just turn it so you get a little more width, and you should be able to pull this out. So I'm just gonna put it in back here, turn it, and you should be able to pull your tool out. Now this. All right, now you need a hammer. All right, pull this off, make sure you don't hit the car. So this is actually where you're gonna need this open-ended socket, or the side open socket. So what you're gonna do is put that right on there and place a 10mm right on this top. This is actually gonna stop the housing from spinning, and you should be able to loosen. And then the downside is you just gotta keep spinning, get another point, then continue loosening. There you go, that's what we want. Watch your face. See, if you don't have these spring compressors, you really gotta be careful on this step, because this could pop off. But now, since we have that off, we just So this all comes off. You're gonna need to reuse this. This bump stop can go, because they give you a new one. And spring comes off. Now if you got any anger you gotta take out, this is the piece that you're gonna beat the living daylights out of to get this off. It should come loose. Bigger flathead might have been better, but there you go.
Blast off.
And you're gonna end up reusing this, so keep this to the side. So basically everything here you're gonna reuse. This, it can go.
Bye-bye.
We're also just gonna mark this with a Sharpie and mark the center. Oh, that's definitely crooked. That way we know exactly how far we need to come down and then where this kind of piece needs to line up. So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take a hammer and we're just gonna start whacking this until this falls to the bottom. It's gonna take a few minutes and it's gonna move very slowly. If you think it's not moving, it probably is. So just keep hitting it until it falls off and we'll pick up the camera again once it does. Pretty close. Don't do what I did.
You broke it?
I broke it.
I don't know who you're mad at, but let's talk about it next time.
Hopefully I never need this again.
Can you imagine? We had to put these back. Oh my.
I mean, it's highly possible.
No. Imagine we put the other one the opposite way. Nah. Did we?
No. As you can see, we got it right back on the line, maybe a little bit lower than the line, but should be cool. Now we just toss this back on. Locking color this way. Should we gap this the same as the other side?
No, it's a little lower.
Lower? Okay.
Just a little bit. Wait, doesn't that go before the white puck?
Okay, we're not adding that part into the video. My parents watch this.
Oh, yeah, and I remember that. Let's get this. We're gonna want this knob in front of this. So this is gonna meet up with here, and this is gonna be like covering some part up here. So
I'll let you line it up.
can you bring it down a little bit? A little more?
So now we just jack this bad boy in place, remove this spindle spreader from the back so it has some clamping power on the strut and it doesn't move. What time is it?
It's like 4 in the morning.
Yeah, it's light. But we raised, lowered, raised both sides again and again just to dial in the fitment, and we're pretty close to bottoming out on the Haas kit. So this is the final moment of truth, because after this we are not doing it again. But Gomel, can you do the honors of lowering it?
Ready?
Yes, sir. So right now, what the hell? Still 2 fingers.
No.
It's about 2 fingers, but it is gonna settle. And we're basically bottomed out on the Haas kit, so I'm not sure. And we also didn't seat the front collar as low as it should have been. So we seated it exactly where the stock collar sits. I think you should go an inch farther than that, or it should be like 2 inches from the curvature on the strut or something. We didn't push it. We didn't push it as far down as it should have been, so that's why the car was sitting so high. And right now we're pretty maxed out on the height adjustable springs. So in the future, if we do need to lower it, we will just have to take everything apart, take that collar and just push it down another inch where it's supposed to be sitting. Then you should be able to get pretty low fitment with this height adjustable kit. Not really happy with the fitment just yet, but we are gonna give it some time. Like I said, we have a car meet in the morning, so we're gonna let it settle for a few hours. It's 4, so we got about 6-7 hours before we got a dip. So in that time, hopefully it comes down just a bit more. If not, we'll just bottom out the Haas kit on both sides. This side is a little bit higher than the other side, even though I thought I matched up everything perfectly. But the rears, as you guys can see, are sitting amazing. Right, that's great fitment right there. I guess for today at least, we're gonna call it here. And hopefully this video is a little bit helpful for you guys, because this was a little bit harder than expected, a little bit harder and more difficult than what the other videos seemed. They basically skipped the difficult parts, and we got stuck in all the difficult parts that they didn't show in the video. So if you guys are about to do this, keep an entire day free, because the backs are gonna take a long time and then the fronts are gonna take just as long. So yep, I'll pick up the camera again in a few hours. So it's actually been a few days since we finished the coilovers on the G80 here, and as you can tell, the car is a good amount lower than it was in the last flip. But like, this is the rear. You guys saw it in the earlier clips. The rears look great. Like, it's tugged just enough where I could lower it just a tad bit more, but anytime anyone sits in the car, it kind of goes down just a smudge, and honestly it looks perfect. So I'm not gonna touch the rears. I might when the new wheels come on, depending on how they look, but for right now I'm loving how this looks, and I've been getting a lot of compliments on the fitment overall. Now the fronts aren't as perfect. I could go a little bit lower and then I'll obviously bring the wheel out just a tad bit more, but for a daily driver, I think this is perfect. I am gonna go lower or see how the new wheels look and then go lower, because I still have a little bit of variability. And if I need to go a lot lower, I'll remove everything, fix it, and put it back on. But this is how the car is looking right now. This is a lot better than stock, I will say. Like, the car just looks a lot more aggressive, and I really like the fact that they're height adjustable, so that way if I need to move them up and down, I can. The reason for that, like I mentioned, is that I do have new wheels for this car, so soon enough we'll be installing those. I do need to order the new tires for them, but once the tires are on, we'll go ahead and throw the new wheels on. They are a bit more aggressive in the front, and the rear they're just a little bit wider. So the rears we can probably run exactly how we are right now and be just fine. The fronts might need a little bit of adjustment, so that's why I'm not too worried about dialing it in perfectly just yet, because this is a very temporary setup. We'll probably have these wheels on maybe a month more, and then we'll throw the new ones on. But overall, I'm very happy with how the car sits now. I will say again, it was a lot harder to install this kit than I originally thought, or from the other videos. So just be cautious of that. It's not going to be an easy, simple process. It is a lot easier if you're on a lift, because you kind of have the leverage to move certain things around, like the lower control arm in the rear. But just having it on jacks, it did make it a little bit more difficult. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. The other thing I did mess up on is that on the rears, I didn't add the new bump stop. So that's still sitting in the box here. I just completely missed it, I'm not even gonna lie. So once we do finalize the fitment on this car, we'll probably go in, remove the stock bump stops, and then replace them with the new KW ones. But like I said, as of right now, there's no real reason to do it. Once I get the new wheels on, that's when this car's gonna look a little spicy. I think that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully this was a little helpful. I know I missed a few steps, so I didn't get a full in-detail process of how to do it, but hopefully it was helpful enough for you guys to understand, okay, this is how you do it and this is how you shouldn't be doing it. But I think in the next video, we're probably gonna be throwing some aero at this car, courtesy of Horizon Motorsports. Love those guys. And after that, we got a bunch more stuff with the E30 and even plans for the G80 as well. So definitely stay tuned, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.